So welcome back to ClaudeAI Nexus 360. Today we are going to be just looking at some bugs we've noticed in the system in relation to the log search app which we are trying to develop. The number of bugs we've noticed, the first one was currency. We're getting some price unavailability for anything that is not based in London. So if we type in, say, Paris, we're getting price unavailable. If we type in, say, Dubai, we're getting price not available in terms of the hotels which are being returned. So we need to do some debugging around there and see how that pans out. Another issue we've noticed was that the budget filter is not working as expected. So although we say XYZ amount of money currently, which is set to British pounds a night, we seem to be getting a collection of varied hotels listings per night, which does not really align with the budget which we are setting per night. So we need to rework our budget agent in terms of the computes or the calculations around that. So if we have, say, if we set about, say, £500 a night, and we are saying that we are basically going for, say, 10 nights, it's going to be, say, the assumption is our budget is, say, £5,000. So we're not going to, in relation to the hotels we are getting, it needs to match within that particular budget. So we need to do some work around that. Another thing we've noticed was that our LLMs are not being invoked appropriately. Although we are getting sort of a response which sounds like an LLM response, is not necessarily from the LLM. It's more like a predictive response which we've provided as a sort of a backend, a fallback, I would say. So I'll just show you some of the things that I've mentioned now, then I'll walk you through each one, just to add some context to our development in relation to the log search app, to show that this is a real life situation in terms of problem solving. Thank you. So in the first instance, you can see this search. We're searching Paris, and this is essentially what we're getting. So I'll just run this through. I'm having a timeout error. I think the constraints I put around the timeouts, I might need to expand that a little bit, but it does work. Okay, so you see, so here we have hotels being listed back. So we have Paris, we have the pictures for each of the areas, and that is defined by the capability around Google Images API. We're getting responses back in terms of narrative. It says top picks include Best Western, Gillian, Opera, Best Western Premier, etc., etc. Some of the pictures are not showing, and we have price unavailable. Okay, but this top picks is a narrative which is sort of hard coded within the code. Is not necessarily hitting the LLM as we discovered. Okay, but we're going to be working to resolve that today. So if I was to change it to, say, London, and I say put, say, £2,000, say 2,000, Now I do another search. Let's see. Okay. So we are seeing the price per day, £89, £171, £314, £200, £389. Okay. So essentially it's possible that the budget filter is working, but I'll just verify that later. So you can see what's going on here. The Sheraton Grand Hotel. So this is 200 a night, 300 a night. We're seeing top picks include blah, 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 blah. Each meets your preferences. I can refine the search if you like to adjust the budget or location. So assuming we change this to £1,000, let's see what's going to happen. Beautiful pictures returning. So that's so this is £1,000 per night. So if this is £1,000 per night and we are doing how many nights? 31st to 3rd. That's 31st, 1st, 2nd. So that's 3 nights. So that's £3,000. So the budget might be working. I'll just need to verify that and do a little bit of maths to see how that goes. But you notice that the narrative seems to be consistent. It seems to be the same. So this is more like a fallback. And if you look at, if I was to show you the actual code, in terms of the responder, you find out that this was put as a fallback. Okay, and if we are to put in another city, say Singapore, we have a network timeout. Not sure why. So as I said, we might need to expand the constraints around the fetch. So we have some pictures, which is beautifully laid out, but unfortunately we don't have the price. It's not there. Okay, and this is actually being returned from Singapore. So we're going to walk through each and every one of these issues as part of our enhanced tutorial around the log search app. Thank you. Okay, so here we're going to be looking at how to resolve our integration with our LLM models as part of the integration with Amazon Bedrock. So firstly, I would like to know what models I have available. So I'm just going to run a command, which I've been able to get from ChatGPT in terms of what the command setting is, just to have a feel of what models I have. So these are all the models I have access to, but not all of them have been enabled per se. So I'll need to find out which ones have been enabled. So let's see. 1 second. So I'm just going to run a quick search to see what has been enabled. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay. And there's another command I can run. So this should give me an idea of what has been enabled. So we have the AI21.jamba 1-5 mini version 1.0. That seems to be enabled. Access has been granted to that particular model. Then we have the Anthropic Cloud 3.3-5 Sonnet 2024 0620 version 1. That has also been enabled. So I'm going to cross-check that with what I have on the SSM parameter store to see whether those model IDs are in sync or not. So let's check what's going on there. Let's see. We need to check 1 second. I had that open before. Amazon. No, it's AWS. Sign into the console. So if we go to our secrets manager, SSM parameter store, it's the systems manager. They all start with S, that's the thing. So if you go to, say, our parameter store, for the model planner, in terms of the actual value, I have something different. I'm not sure where I picked that up from. And if you go to the responder, I seem to have a version 2.0 as opposed to 1.0. I'm not sure where I picked that up as well. Okay, so I'll need to make sure that there is alignment between these particular versions and what I have here. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So I'm just going to run another command to sort of probe entitlement of the versions that are okay. Say list. So we've done that. Let's do some tests quickly. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. And for Jamba, okay. So which are the tests I could run? Just to verify this again. It's interesting. Why is it saying that? Initially, I thought that the sonnet was okay, but it's telling me it's blocked. Why? Are they not the same? I need to make a note of that. That's 2024 0620 V10. And that is Clouds 3.5 Sonnet. So what's it saying here? Anthropic. That's weird. 2024 0620. I'll run this again. This is crazy, isn't it? It has, if initially it said it was blocked, now it's telling me it's okay. So you could see some sort of inconsistency in terms of connectivity there. That is weird. Okay, so that's one thing. So let's do some. So we saw from the GUI what we had in terms of the SSM parameter store. So let's just do this from the front end, from the command line. So you see what we have? We have something totally different. So that is the same thing in terms of what we have on the console in terms of the model IDs, which we have entered. But unfortunately, these so-called model IDs we entered is not consistent with what we have access to in terms of what access has been granted. So that was the rationale for us to be getting the fallback narration as opposed to real life feedback from the actual LLM models. That's interesting. So let's see. Let me just probe what we have for the. Okay. So we have validation exception when calling the converse operation. So the models we have, the IDs we have provisioned in SSM are not what we have access to. So this is basically proof that we don't have integration with the so-called model IDs we had provisioned. So you see both of them have errors. We have a validation exception. We have a resource not found exception. The model version has not reached let's make this a little bit shorter. This model version has reached the end of its life. Please refer to the AWS documentation. So it looks as if, as at the time when I got these model IDs, they might have been still available in terms of the Jamba, but right now is no longer available. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take baby steps to make sure that I change the values in terms of the model IDs in SSM parameter store. So there are two ways of doing it. One is using the model IDs. The other one is using what is called the inference profile ARNs. But in this case, I'll do the model IDs first to see whether that will make any difference. If it doesn't, then I'll make changes to. I'll need to add the inference profile ARNs as an addendum to the model IDs as part of the environmental variables. That's essentially what I'm going to do. Okay. So let's see what we have here. So I'm just going to do this. Interestingly, I don't necessarily need to do this via CDK, via the CI/CD pipeline, because what I did was I simply got the SSM parameter store. I did it outside that particular propagation chain. I did that as well for the secrets manager. All the details in there were done outside this CDK CI/CD pipeline. So that's fine. So I'm not doing anything. So let's do that. Okay. And I'm going to do this as well for the Jamba version. Okay. And I'm going to try that. Just make sure that the values actually invoke. Okay. It seems we are getting some traction here. Okay. So based on this, I wouldn't necessarily need to change anything on CDK in terms of the policy, the IAM roles, policy document, because it's referencing a model ID anyway. So that's fine. So I sort of did it from a point of least resistance in terms of, so I'm not making any breaking changes per se. So I'm going to be conducting a few checks to make sure that we're able to fully integrate with the SSM parameter store based on the changes we've done. So I'm going to run a few commands here to make sure check the cloud and Jamba. And the first one is, 1 second. So I was able to get the Lambda execution role for hotel agent, and I inputted that because that's what gives it the necessary authorization in relation to the Lambda integrating with the LLM models via the SSM parameter store with the use of the model ID. So let's see. So we can see that decision is allowed in terms of the model invoke model ID is all there. That's good. That's positive. The other thing I'm going to do is to prove that both model IDs can be invoked. So I'm putting another command in relation to this. Okay. So we can see that both model IDs are invocable. We have the input tokens, output tokens, total tokens, etc. So that has confirmed that there is full integration with the SSM parameter store in relation to the LLM models. So we're going to test this out again to see whether this is now fully working. Thank you. So I'm essentially including a health check command for the models as well. As you can see this, so let's see that our models are functioning good. Nothing that's working properly. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. I think it's not formatted correctly, that's why. So this essentially shows that it's basically proof that we have valid model IDs in the region defined, which is US East 1, Virginia, and that the IAM allows the invocation of the Bedrock models, and it also shows that the SSM parameter store is pointing to correct working model IDs which have been defined, and it also shows that the runtime invoke succeeds. So these are things that are for sure. And how do we know whether this is working or not? So the proof we have is to try it out in terms of the okay, so let's try Paris. I'll need to extend the timer. Let's see. Let's try again. Okay, top picks include blah, 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 blah. Let's try again. Since there was a fallback there, maybe there was a bit of issues reaching the model. Let's try again. Let's put a different city. Let's put London. Voila. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is beautiful. So what are we seeing here? What are we seeing here? This is phenomenal. This says for your stay in London from October 31st to November 3rd, 2025, we have 3 hotel options available. The London Marriott Hotel Regent's Park offers the most affordable rate at £171.75 per night, while the London Marriott Hotel, Park Lane, provides a more luxurious option at £484, 3 pence per night. There's also Test VPG GPB option, which is priced at £200 per night. Though details of this property are limited, all prices are in GPP as requested. Unfortunately, we don't have information about indoor pools for these properties. As I said earlier, I don't think Amadeus API is returning amenities because this is solely like a test environment. Each hotel is located in or near London, offering different experiences depending on your preferred area or budget. So this is very powerful. So we have basically did a wrap round of context in terms of what Amadeus is providing, our budget agent and the responder agent in terms of the narrative. So we basically prove that this actually does work. Let's try again. Let's increase the money. Let's say maybe £10,000 and see what it's gonna come up with. Okay, so we can see that at times it uses the fallback. So it seems that the fallback is something that it needs to have in certain scenarios because we might not necessarily get the model responding at each particular point in time.